You are now listening to Femme Regard Podcast with Tessa Markle
and Carolina Alvarez.
Femme.
Hey, Femme Fam. How many of you are beginner filmmakers like us who are trying to learn the trade all on your own? Scouring the web for help can be time-consuming and limiting. I mean, that's how we've learned most of what we know. But what if there was a structured online course on cinematography that you can follow right in the comfort of your very own home, aka editing bay? And that's why we're excited to spill the tea about our partnership with Tropic Color, a leading company in the production of LUTs, effects, and more. Most importantly, they've developed an online course that includes over 70 topics, led by 2 professional DPs who've worked on all types of sets and really know the industry. Tropic Color's Cinematography Masterclass will take you through pre-production, lighting, camera breakdown, and more. Here at Femme Regard, we only want to provide you with the best tools out there because we know it's possible to get better without having to spend thousands of dollars on film school. That's why we'd like to offer you a special discount code to sign up for Tropic Color's Cinematography Masterclass. Just head on over to tropiccolor.com, spelled the British way, TROPICCOLOUR, and use our code FEM10, that's all caps, FEMME10, when you're checking out, and boom, all this knowledge at an already great price for an extra 10% off. Get it, fam?
Hello, Femme Fam. Welcome back. It is, 9 a.m., 9:03 a.m.
9:03 in the
sunny
lovely
Southern California.
Sunny Southern California, but it is 10:03 in Utah. Is that an hour forward? What is it, babe?
10:02.
Yeah, okay, so we got hour difference.
Hour difference. That's right, y'all. Today we are having a remote visitor to the lovely Culver City, Miss Whit Ingram. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. This is my first podcast.
Oh,
awesome.
And guys, you should see her setup. It is dope. Like, I wish you
Pretty
could.
dope. It's not mine. It's my friend Doug's, but
still, I mean, this is a legit studio setup. Good for Doug.
Good for Doug. No, you look good. First time, baby. Oh, look at us. Popping the podcast cherry. That's how we do. Hello. No, we're so excited to have you. I've been following you on the gram for a while now, and I was just like meaning to reach out, and then
you've been on our list for a while.
Yeah, so guys, she's an amazing filmmaker, writer, director, and women in film. Hello. Hi. We're so and so I've been just following you. It's funny because I went and snooped on your website, and I see that you do writing, you do scripts consulting as well, and then you're like, and I also do quite a bit of camera operating. And I'm like, quite a bit, girl. I see you on the gram. That's what caught my attention. I'm like, I love seeing female cinematographers, DPs like in action. And you do some really awesome like action shots and like taking your followers through your journey of like what the before, the behind the scenes is looking like from the camera perspective. That's really what blew me away and like made me fascinated. Makes me want to go out there and film a little more too, and learn that, because it's so crazy to see what you're doing behind the scenes and then and what it looks like even to get to the final product, right? Like that whole transition.
Yeah.
So we want to know like what came first to you, like what spoke to you first. Like take us back a little bit, like briefly your journey into where you are today, like being a freelance. I think it mentions you're a freelance cinematographer, writer, director.
Right. Yeah, I'm freelance full time right now.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it is very hard. It's definitely a journey. So I started I was always creative as a child. I was always into writing and doing different kind of random art pieces and just being weird. And I loved music. I always loved music. And so when I went into high school, I took a TV and video production class, and our first assignment was music videos. And I was just like, oh, this is like a great combination of what I like to do and music together. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a music video director. that's what I thought I was going to do. That's all I wanted to do
Uh-huh.
was do
Mhm.
anything with music. And then as I went on with the class, I was like, okay, I actually like this and I like that and I like writing and I like editing and all that stuff. So by the time I graduated, I knew I wanted to be a film director. I went to college. I majored in digital media with an emphasis in cinema production. So I do have that background with web and animation and photography,
Nice.
as well as
Wow.
cinema production. And so once I graduated, I've been doing that for about 4 years now, just mainly freelance. And I love it. It's I can't imagine doing anything else. It's extremely difficult
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's definitely up and down. It's not stable. It's all over the place. You're constantly wondering if you're good enough or wondering if you're making the right decision because every decision, especially when you get older, has a big impact
Mhm.
Mhm.
on the trajectory of your life. And like the older you get, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to actually get to that point doing this or doing that because there's so many different opportunities. You don't know if
Right.
you should be saying yes or no, or is this going to be good or is this going to make me look good? And a lot of it is just it's just timing.
Yeah.
So right now, yeah, I've just been doing freelance, and yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster.
Well, it's amazing though that you're able to do freelance full time, like straight out of school. I mean, that's a big accomplishment. Like, not a lot of people can
Yeah,
go straight into that. So that's awesome. But you also
mm,
wear a ton of hats. It sounds like, you're able to do a lot of
yeah.
different things. So I'm sure that as have you found that helps you kind of break in a little bit more, that you excuse me, have more experience and more knowledge like that, or do you find that it's almost overwhelming to have all of those hats?
Um, I mean, I feel like when you're doing freelance, you have to have a lot of
Mhm.
hats. You can't just do one thing. Because, I mean, I remember my sister, her roommate's a producer, and they're asking what I do, and like, "Oh, she directs films," and they kinda laugh. They're like, "Oh, well, what else does she do?"
Mhm.
A lot of times you don't get a directing job right out of the gate. I don't get a lot of directing jobs. I get a lot more camera operating jobs
Mhm.
because there's just more opportunity to do that, and then
Right.
editing on the side and then writing. So I think doing all those combined, it has helped me get more work,
Mhm.
but and it's also helped me understand the industry and what it takes to actually go from pre-production all the way to post.
Yeah.
Right,
And
which is
I
what
think
we emphasize to our
understanding
listeners
all
all the
that
time.
and what goes
Mhm.
into it is crucial to, everything that you want to accomplish, even just if you're gonna just be a director.
Yeah. Do you have
So,
a favorite out of curiosity?
I like directing.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
like being in charge of all the creative stuff. I definitely like directing stuff that I've written.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, directing I just like everything, but directing's definitely my favorite.
And I think
So,
it's great, like, you've learned how to operate the camera because I feel like, in a way, you might get more opportunities to direct even if that's not what you're hired on to do first.
right. Mhm.
And so, like, that's something, for listeners to think about. Like, maybe, you really wanna do directing, but you should learn, like you said, have other skills to then help you grow and then understand, like, the full production process and
Mhm.
how to
Yeah,
get a good shot and like where the camera lens follows so you can be a better director if that's like what
exactly.
you
And
love
and a
doing the
lot of
most.
stuff I've had to do by myself, and so I just was kind of forced to learn that stuff, even if I didn't necessarily wanna do that full time, but if you really wanna get your stuff done, you really just have to do it yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So, working
girl.
on the projects,
Yeah.
I've definitely done a lot of projects where I've done most of the key positions for the whole thing, and I just get used to that because I've had to just to get
Mhm.
the project done.
Amen, girl. Yeah, that's how you do it. That's what you
Yeah.
got to do it. There's no other way. Otherwise, nothing's gonna get done, and that doesn't mean it's gonna be easy and it's gonna be flawless, y'all. Like you got to learn a lot along the way. Like take us back. So when you started out freelancing, is that exactly what you did? You just threw yourself in every role to learn the ins and outs about it, and then found what you were good at. It like did anything come just naturally to you? Like, let us understand that process a little bit better.
I mean, in school, it took me 6 years to graduate college.
Mhm.
I hate school. I hate school so much. I struggled a lot, and it wasn't with film, it was, all the other classes, it was math, it was
Mhm.
science. It was everything that I wasn't interested in. So when I was in school, I really focused on film and I let my other classes slide, but I was doing a little bit of freelance while I was in school,
Mhm.
and I just picked up other jobs, and so I really learned what I liked doing while I was in school. So by the time I graduated, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And it's been it's been a lot. So when I graduated, I actually had a friend reach out to me, and he wanted to turn his book into a film, and it's a true story about his time as a paratrooper during the Vietnam War.
Wow.
Whoa.
And so I've never adapted a book, and it was a lot. It was a lot of research, and that took me about a year and a half to
Mhm.
get through. And so I really didn't do much right out of the gate when I graduated. I was a little lost from being in school for so
Oh
long, and
my
I felt
God.
like
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, now what?" I mean, this is go time. This is how you this is what you went to school for so long. This is what you slaved over for so long,
Yeah.
and I was just scared, and so that opportunity came along, and I started working on that, and the the project ended up falling through about a year and a half ago, so this was 3 years ago total,
Okay.
and, um, that was supposed to be my first feature. I was gonna direct it. I
Yeah.
spent so long writing it, and the person who was helping me kinda produce it and everything, was also my boyfriend, and he ended up going to get the money, to get the funding, and then just decided not to come back. And so everything fell through within a matter of hours.
Wow.
Oh
Um,
my God.
so I had to call the author and tell him what happened. A week later, I went to the convention where we met, and everyone was congratulating me on my film, and I was just like, "No, it's actually not happening anymore," and I had to move back home.
Mhm.
I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car, I didn't have any money, nothing, like, everything just completely fell through. And that really woke me up and told me that I can't just focus on one thing, especially when you're in this industry. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket
Mhm.
because a lot of projects don't end up coming through. Like, there's a lot of projects that you start and, like, they just don't end up happening for whatever
Right.
reason, financially or whatever you wanna call it. And so, it took me a couple months to find my bearings and come to terms with what happened because
Yeah.
I lost literally everything that I loved, everything that I cared about in the entire world fell through,
Yeah.
and I don't like, without going into detail, like, it was traumatizing for me.
Oh, hell
It
yeah.
was and I was devastated, and a couple months later, like, after everything happened, a friend of mine reached out to me who was also a student that I went to school with. He's like, "Hey, come, work on the shoot with me. It's, up in Logan," which is about 2 hours from me, "and you can camera operate."
Mhm.
And I'd been so isolated from writing and just, like, focusing on this one thing that I just jumped up at the opportunity, even though I
Yeah.
didn't really feel like I was a camera operator.
Mm-hmm.
And that just led to one thing, and now a year and a half later after that's happened, I've gained so many contacts, and all it's made me realize is I really can do this by myself.
Yeah.
I really can get through something that was so devastating and traumatic and come around and realize, like, I actually do have all this experience. I am worth something. I can get through the worst thing that I can possibly imagine and come out on top.
Yeah.
And now looking back, like, I've been doing so much better than I was
Right.
when I thought that film was gonna happen. Now, like, my life is 10 times better, and it really is because of me,
Mhm.
and I
Right.
can honestly say that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been a journey, and now I just kinda jump at every opportunity that I can get in film because you never know where it's gonna lead.
Totally. I mean,
So
that's amazing. Like, if you can make it through that, you can make it through anything. Like, that's super
exactly.
inspiring just to hear that
Yeah.
story.
No, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that because that's not an easy feat at all by any means. And like all
Mhm.
the, like, it's, oh, we talk about killing your babies, but this is like, when especially when you're just starting out, like
Mhm.
we've been through our own little hurdles there too. And like we haven't had someone really in-depthly share their story like this. So it's really inspiring to hear that, What we've had a couple, but not like it's really great, I think, for our audience members to understand like this happens and you
Right.
have only yourself to count on too at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Like you have to trust your gut. You have to understand that I love that you said that's it's a huge learning lesson that
Mhm.
things aren't
Yes.
always going to go the way you think they're going to go, like it's in
Mhm.
this industry.
Yeah, but that you have to keep going no
You
matter
have
what.
to.
Yeah.
And I love
Mhm.
that you did just end up like throwing yourself at stuff. I think it can hurt or hinder like it can hinder you, but you won't know until you try it, and
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
try
And no
to.
matter what, you're gonna learn something, even if it's that you
Oh, for
learn that
sure.
you don't wanna do whatever it is that
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah, absolutely.
And I think the biggest thing is I leaned on that person so hard to make my dreams come true because
Mhm,
I felt like I couldn't do it alone.
mhm,
And I realized, like, as time went on, I was like, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have relied on someone so heavily because I was scared to make the move myself.
mhm,
Because I'm not a business person. I don't feel like great at producing or pitching ideas. I'm a creative person.
mhm.
And so that person, I felt like they had that side of it for me and
Mhm.
they could cover that side where I didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
And obviously, you can't rely on someone for something like that full-heartedly and thinking everything's gonna work out because
Mhm.
you never know what's gonna happen.
Completely
Right.
understand.
Yeah,
I
it's
completely
hard.
understand. It is really hard. I mean, we are always like trying to research things ourselves and we didn't go to business school. We didn't even go to film school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's terrifying sometimes. Like, am I
Yeah,
making the right call? Do I sound like an idiot? Am I presenting myself the right way here? Like, are these men judging me? Like,
Yeah.
what is, it
yeah,
women and it's been hard to figure it out, but then again, it's beautiful to know at the end of the day that you created something yourself
Mhm,
and that you
mhm,
can you can learn the business world. You can learn about production and you can go out there and present your best self because at the end of the day your work is going to speak through you. If
exactly,
you're honest about, who you are in the room and what you're trying to do,
mhm.
you know. So
right.
that's really awesome. So now that you've been through all of that, what's your day to day like? Like what is the day to day of a freelancer?
It's very up and down,
Yeah.
very random. I mean, sometimes I'll go a week, maybe 2 weeks with no work, and I'm just working on my own stuff.
Mhm,
Right now, I've been working on an ebook, and then I've been editing a short film in my spare time, and then I'll randomly get a job like, "Hey, can you come film this concert?" or, "Hey, I need a quote for this commercial," or it's so random, but being freelance for now a year and a half, I've gained a lot of contacts, and so
Mm,
there's people I can reach out to.
yeah.
There's people that have stuff going on. I use Facebook a lot. There's a lot of Facebook film groups that I'm a part of, and they'll be posting jobs. And then just within my own network of people that I've connected with will always reach out to me because they know I'm freelance full time.
Mhm.
So they know I have the time. They know I don't have another job that I have to worry about. So I can just get up and go.
right.
Um, I'll get a job like, hey, like we have this shoot out in Maryland. We need you at next week. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm open.
Yeah.
And I just get
That's
up and go.
awesome.
And it's exciting and I really I hate mundane, I hate schedules,
Mhm.
and so that's a great aspect, and I also have freedom, I can take off for 2 weeks and go on vacation and not worry about it, I don't have a
Yeah,
boss.
totally.
So,
Hell
on the
yeah.
but on the flip side, I don't get a regular paycheck, so I
Mhm.
do have to be careful about money and time management and everything that I focus on, and just being productive is hard, like, I don't have to get up in the morning.
Right.
I could sleep all day, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do and forcing yourself to get up and knowing that if you don't do anything, guess what? You're not gonna get a paycheck.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
it really forces you and pushes you into that world of knowing that you are completely self-reliant. Everything that happens depends on you, and if you don't get it done, then you I mean, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, I mean, being freelance, there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of exciting things that are always available to you and a lot of opportunities. It's just completely reliant on you and how far you're willing to go.
Mhm.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into freelance starting out? Is it like, slowly like build your network of contacts and then or just like save and then dive right in and try to go at it? Like I'm curious,
Yeah.
like how does that
Yeah, so I mean, I went to school, so when I graduated, I did have a network of people to reach out to,
Yeah.
and, like, the job I got was a person I went to school with, and they just knew I did film, and that's the only reason I got that job. But I mean, sometimes I'll still PA.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't need to PA. I mean, PAing is just you don't
Yeah.
have to know anything, but I've gotten a lot of like, every single time I take a job, I meet someone, and I'm a pretty low key person, but when I'm on set, I'm always really happy and excited, and I'm always talking to people, and I always meet someone that will get me a job. It never fails.
Yeah.
I'll always like see someone or meet someone. There's always some random person, even if it's someone I talk to for maybe 5 seconds,
Mhm.
I'll get a call 3 months later, like, "Hey, you do this, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, we have a job for you, blah, blah, blah,
Oh
blah."
my
I'm like,
God.
"Oh, okay, cool." And so, like, you just kinda, like, slowly build your network by meeting people
Mhm.
and making sure you're putting yourself out there, telling people, "Hey, this is what I do. Here's my business card. Let's connect. Let's connect on Instagram or Facebook or whatever," and keep in contact with them.
Mhm.
And, I mean, that's what's worked for me, is just slowly building the connection with people in your surrounding network in the filmmaking industry that's near you.
Yeah. And it takes time too. Like, I mean, I know me and Carolina have a whole list of contacts that we've met, and, half of them we've just haven't made something that we need them for yet, but they're on our list of people that we know we want to work with at some point.
Yeah.
And like, I know I've been contacted, like a year after I met somebody for, hey, I remember your acting reel. Like, would you want to be in this project? Like, yeah, sometimes it takes a while, but building those relationships is key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that I think the key is just staying open to those opportunities and no role is too small,
Hmm.
Exactly.
in a production sense. Like everyone is key. And
Yeah.
so even a
Yeah.
PA where you're like, no, that people always need PAs. They're
Yeah, you
key
do.
roles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's super amazing that you like that's great advice. Like that's a gem right there.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's the trade-off, like, I know PAing is probably not the most glamorous, and you probably don't get as much pay, but I know it's gonna lead to another job. I know it's gonna lead to meeting someone that will have that opportunity for me in the future.
Hmm. And I'd love to talk just a moment about before we started recording, listeners, we were talking to Whit and she was saying, oh, yeah, Whit is short for Whitney. And we're like, oh, of course, that makes sense. But like neither of us thought that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And, but you were saying like, it's smart because it's gender neutral, for instance, to have on your resume. Like, can you talk a little bit about that for our listeners too?
Yeah, so I'm in Utah, and there's not a lot of women
Mm-hmm.
in film behind the camera here, and so I feel like, 1, I stand out on
Mm-hmm.
set when I'm bu and if I'm on the crew or whatever, but I think trying to be a little more gender neutral on my resume for people who don't know me
Mm-hmm.
has actually helped in a really weird way. I don't know why it's helped. I think it's just people don't necessarily think, "Oh, she's a girl," right off
Mm-hmm.
the
Right off the
bat. They
bat.
look at
Yeah.
my stuff, and they look at my credentials and my degree or whatever on my resume first, and then they'll think about, "Oh, I wonder if it's a girl or not." And
Yeah.
it's just a little thing that I like that makes me feel, I don't know, I guess on the more level on the playing field, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of sets I'm on where I'm the only girl on the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm fine with it, like, I'm completely comfortable with it, but it's just this little thing that, you kinda do feel like people are looking at you or a little bit of an outcast at first with people who don't know you when you're a woman on set.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just, having that little gender neutral thing has really helped me get work, and
Yeah.
that's
I bet
kinda
You're
it
all
like,
it is.
surprise, I'm a lady.
Yes.
And I'm here.
And then they go to my Instagram, they're like, "Oh,
Hot.
oh, it's not what I was expecting." So,
Love it.
Love
yeah.
it. Also, briefly, you went to because you're in Utah, and Well, not just because you're in Utah, but you went to Sundance this year. I saw on the
I
gram. Can you
did.
tell us about it? Was it your first time? What do you
Um,
expect? Like, what can our listeners expect when they go there?
yeah, no, I try and go every year because it's only an hour away from where I live.
Yeah.
Clutch.
And I love Sundance. I think it's probably because I grew up here and it's just it's one of my dreams to have a film in Sundance. I love it so much, and there's really a sense of community, and it's also, I mean, it's a representation of Utah in a sense, with the Utah Film Commission because they
Mhm.
do a lot of stuff there. And so there's a lot of great forums, obviously great movies, music, and you just get to go hang out with people who are like you, and it's
Yeah.
nice. And, like, I went to the Women Behind the Camera forum,
Mhm.
which is all female cinematographers, and it's nice to hear other women who have the same struggles as you,
Yeah.
and you don't feel so alone,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just a really great sense of community, and it's really fun.
That's
Sounds like
So,
awesome.
we'll have to maybe make a trip to Utah
I
next year,
know,
Tessa.
right?
yeah, you guys
Say hey to
should.
our girl Whit.
Exactly.
Let's
My friend
go.
had a condo, so we got to stay up there all weekend for the first weekend,
Oh,
and
nice.
my other friend was driving one of the Sundance cars, so we had,
Mhm.
like, limo service anywhere we wanted to
Oh, that's
go.
awesome.
It
Doing
was
it in
Rolling,
actually really
style.
high
great.
rolling over here. Love
Exactly.
it. Okay, well, yeah, we might have to hit you up, get a condo going. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure. Come on by.
Well,
Well,
before we wrap up, a couple things. First of all, I want you to share with our listeners how they can find you, your Instagram, whatever, all that stuff that you want to share. And then
inspo.
also, yep, if you can tell us a little bit about like what inspires you.
Okay. So the best way to contact me is my Instagram.
Okay.
It's Witty Film Girl. I do everything on there. Yeah, I have Facebook. I don't use it as much. And then in my bio on my Instagram is my website, wittingramfilm.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And then I guess what inspires me the most is still music.
Yeah.
It still goes back to it still goes back to music, and that really has helped me create projects. And then I think since I've really started freelance within the last year and a half, I've discovered affirmations
Hmm.
and meditation.
Nice.
Because for a
Mm-hmm.
while, like once that job that I initially got right after everything fell apart,
Hmm.
that ended, and I was like, okay, what now? Because that was a pretty steady paycheck for a while.
Yeah.
And I went a little crazy. Like, I don't know what to do now. I don't know where I'm gonna get work. And I discovered affirmations and then I took a meditation, like an hour-long meditation about visualizing your future and what you
Hmm.
want it to look like. And all of a sudden my brain, like just my mind and my attitude changed, thinking, okay, a job is gonna come. There's nothing to worry about. Stay calm, do your affirmations, know that you're worthy.
Hmm.
And it would. And then so now I've just try and keep that mindset and keep doing my affirmations to keep myself steady and making sure that I can get through this.
I
That's
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, girl, for coming
Yes.
on.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
This
for
was a
having
great
me.
talk.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. I really love this. It's inspiring. I and just hearing your journey, I think it really champions a lot of filmmakers out there who are trying to get their foot through the door and have to you're everyone's going to face a hurdle like
Yeah.
Great.
sooner or later at some point.
Yeah. Yes.
And yeah, just to keep it going. So thank you so so much.
Yes. And listeners, check her out on the gram. That's where we found her.
Woo woo, witty femme girl.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You guys.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in next time for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals over tea.
We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. If you leave us a great comment, we might give you a shout out on the show. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.